today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the latest lineup of Striker DC gamepad color variants from Retro Fighters for your Sega Dreamcast. These are amazing wired controllers with a modern look and feel. So right out of the gate, we've got this clear shell blue. Always got to have a blue controller if you're doing anything Sega. Classic sleek black, everyone's favorite of course. And then we've got this nice red, again with the translucent shell. And we also have a green one, so we got lots of great color options. And if you don't like color options, well, you can always go the standard white controller as well, because they do have the classic Dreamcast look for their Striker DC gamepads. Now, if you're not familiar at all with the Striker DC gamepads or Retro Fighters in general, and you're wondering, why do I need a different controller for my Dreamcast? What's different? Well, look back on the Dreamcast. Great system, not a great controller. I mean, this thing was just awkward to hold ergonomically. It's just not the best. Your hands were always super close together, especially for fighting games. The analog stick, I enjoyed having the analog stick on the controller. However, the fact that it was convex as opposed to concave meant your thumb would typically slide off of it, even though it has those raised bumps and everything, just because the beveled way it, was, again, convex and not concave, made your thumb slide off. And again, the D-pad definitely wasn't the best. It was super raised, very prominent, had good triggers, also had the great accessories for the VMU and the rumble pack type of stuff and other accessories you could put in those ports, so very ahead of its time there. And I was never a fan of having the cord coming out of the bottom either. That was always super awkward for me and caused me to inadvertently pull my Dreamcast like almost off the shelf several times growing up. So the new ones with these Striker DC, let me go ahead and open one of these up for you and show you what you get out of the box. These are retail price $50. You can find them on Amazon and other different websites. I'll put links down in the video description box below. So right out of the gate, we get some cool Retro Fighters stickers. We get an FAQ, frequently asked questions about this controller. Get a little pamphlet. Gives your information for their social media, their customer service, a little about them, and a personal thank you for purchasing the controller, as well as a rundown of the buttons and what they do, as far as how you set them up and how you play in the game. Also get this nice little keychain, very cool little 8-bit character. And we of course get the controller itself. So these colored controllers, it's just a colored faceplate, so nothing on the back that's going to be the same as the front. But we got this green here, you can see through, you can see the circuit board underneath. Always a popular control choice, especially in the 90s, very retro. Nintendo 64 really, led the way with making all sorts of different crazy color schemes for both their consoles and their controllers, so it's very cool to see this in the Sega Dreamcast. As you can tell though, this is a much smaller and much more ergonomically friendly design to hold in your hands than the standard Dreamcast controller. So putting them up side by side, the standard Dreamcast controller versus the Striker DC, you can right out of the gate just tell how much smaller this controller is versus the original Dreamcast. Lots of differences, some changes you'll notice. We've got a clear button and a turbo button on the front, so this supports turbo functionality. We've got some left and right bumpers up top, as well as our triggers. So we've got some additional buttons that we didn't have on the Dreamcast, and that's, as the name suggests, from a company called Retro Fighters to help support your fighting games. So you'll have 6 action buttons, you'll have, your 4 on the front, and then you've got your shoulder buttons. Some people obviously would prefer to have all 6 action buttons on the front here, but a lot of us, especially from Super Nintendo days, are already accustomed to playing fighting games with 4 action buttons and then 2 other action buttons up top, so that doesn't really bother me a bit. D-pad definitely is a much less prominent, less raised than we had on the original Dreamcast. Again, that one just stuck out. And then we've got a proper analog stick with the concave thumbstick there. And obviously comparing it to other modern controllers, the Xbox One is going to be the closest one. I mean, it looks almost identical as far as its shape. However, slightly different layouts, but we do have the analog stick, the D-pad here, and then our action buttons in the same spot, as well as, of course, our shoulder and trigger buttons. So very reminiscent of the Xbox One. Again, the analog sticks are going to be very similar with that concave design. And then a PlayStation 4 controller. Slightly bigger than a PlayStation 4 controller, but again, it's so much smaller than what the Dreamcast controller is. And it does support your Dreamcast accessories. So we got our jump pack here, aka rumble pack, whatever you want to call it. Fits in there nicely, clicks in there, no need to change anything. Got our Dreamcast VMU. And then voila, we got a much more open window, so you got less shadows in the corners of the Dreamcast. That was one thing on the Dreamcast controller. Since it was so deep here, you got a little, sometimes you got some shadows in the corners of your VMU screen just because that's the way the light hit it. Much more open window here, so you're going to be able to see clearly what's going on your VMU. But you know, enough looking at them. Let's see them in action, shall we? All right, we're gonna test out some Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Got the Rumble jump pack plugged in, the VMU. Got the 10-foot of cable, so we got plenty of length of our cord. And then we're just gonna do some practice. So as you can see, the controller, D-pad works, analog, it's gonna work, our action buttons, everything works there. Shoulder buttons, trigger buttons, this is the way they work. So your shoulder button's gonna be your tag, and the same is gonna be your trigger. So the same side's gonna do the exact same thing. Left and right, both sides. So if you accidentally press the trigger of the shoulder button, it really doesn't matter because you're going to get the same input command regardless. For turbo functionality, the way you do it, so here's my normal punch. I'd have to rapidly punch it. To activate turbo, going to hold it down, hit the turbo button, and now I can hold that button down and it's just going crazy in turbo mode. If I want to clear that command, hit the clear button, and then I'm back to my standard non-turbo inputs. Overall, so far everything feels good. The analog stick is going to be a little looser than what you're expecting, but so far I've had it perform absolutely as I anticipated. It just feels loose, but it performs great. So let's give it the old Hadouken test. It's always my litmus test. If I can do 5 Hadoukens in a row on a joystick or controller, then everything is going to be copacetic to me. Everything's working as I expected. Do our crazy super combos. So yeah, this is performing exactly as I expected. Feels good in the hand. Like I said, the analog stick is loose, more loose than I would have anticipated, but it actually performs exceptionally well. So it's just something to get used to. But overall, I have no complaints over the performance of the analog stick. The D-pad I did struggle to do some Hadoukens with. I've got it dialed in now, but it did take me a couple of minutes to adjust to the D-pad. I think mainly just because I was used to the standard Dreamcast with it being so raised and prominent. But now, all right, we're gonna test out some Virtual Cop 2. This is a really good one to test for the analog stick. Again, just for your precision and your accuracy. You can use the D-pad or the analog stick. But everything's working well. That if you don't, obviously the analog stick is much quicker and responsive than the D-pad. You see the D-pad slowly scrolls across the screen. Able to take that guy out no problem. All right, now we're going to test some NFL Blitz 2000 because not only is this a fantastic game, but it's a great way to show the built-in support for jump packs and rumble packs because you can change the various different intensities of the vibration in this game. So right now it's set to off. Go ahead and change it to normal. See the controller vibrates there. Change it to brutal, get even more vibration. And lastly, we'll change it to dangerous. So quite a bit of rumble, quite a bit of vibration, and everything is working exactly as it should on a standard Dreamcast controller in this Striker DC controller. See if we can get it into the end zone here. Getting close. Oh, so close. All right, we'll punch it in here. Gotta say, controller's performing exceptionally well, exactly as I anticipated. Going for 2. We're gonna risk it. Oh, I thought I had it. Thought I had it. At the end of the day, the Striker DC controllers are a great option for anybody that's looking to get a little more out of their Dreamcast and they haven't been happy or satisfied with the performance of those old stock Dreamcast controllers. Again, more ergonomically friendly, has the support for all your Dreamcast accessories like the VMU and your jump packs, and again, it is really better suited for your fighting games in particular. So if you're looking to get something extra, definitely check out these Striker DC game controllers for your Dreamcast. And if you're not a Dreamcast fan, why'd you watch this video? But don't worry, Retro Fighters also has some great options for your Nintendo 64 controllers as well, and I'll put those product links down in the video description box below to help you out as well. Appreciate everybody watching, checking out this video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button, share this video with your friends if you found the information helpful, and as always, thanks for watching, guys. It really means a lot.